All right, hey guys, I am here for a Golf Clash tutorial video. This is going to be kind of a part two slash kind of remake of the hook slice video that we're going to be doing here. And I am on my main account here. I'm going to do some hook shots with some pretty common clubs here. Let's just switch to sniper, I guess. Apocalypse, of course, you know, whether it's 5 to 7, it's going to react virtually identical. Not too much is going to change. 4, the aim will just come in a little bit on an Apoc 4. I do have that on my guest account, but I'm going to also play around with Spitfire, and of course my accuracy is 100 on my Spitfire. You know, Sand Lizard's going to, and same with Malibu, they're going to react kind of similarly because the accuracies are similar. The only difference being Spitfire has, 11 extra yards and 20 extra yards. Is that what it is? Yeah. So, but aside from that, it's going to be pretty spot on. And same with, if you look at like Nirvana, for example, and then, of course, take Razor. These are going to react similarly as well, with Machete also being another really accurate club and can get you out of a lot of trouble. So I'm going to start with where I'm at right now. And we're just going to kind of go over the basics real quick for the hook slice technique. And of course, I really don't mess around with it too much with long irons, short irons, wedges. I pretty much stick to rough iron, sand wedge, sniper, and driver. So wood driver, rough iron, sand wedge are pretty much the only 4 clubs here I'm going to cover in this video. And let's just for fun here bounce around in 11. I have a couple matches I want to lose here. So I'm going to, well, we'll see. Well, depends on this is actually a great tour for the hook slice shot. And in fact, you're actually seeing a pretty good hook slice wind here. So I am just going to go over and cover that real quick for this tee shot. Now, when you are setting this up, you want to get a little aggressive here. So I'm using the aim off my Bullseye here, and I'm just trying to, you know, visualize about 15 rings out, and just trying to picture kind of landing it more in like here in this zone. So first I'm going to set up about here, and then from this point I'm going to go about 3 full bullseyes. Of course, I am going to full landscape mode, and if you don't have this app, it is a Android only app. And here you're kind of seeing what I was showing you there. It just kind of lands in there short of that zone. Now, if I get more wind, it'll land much more close to that bunker, sometimes even in the bunker. So I actually have to play more hook depending on the wind situation. You need to go change your line a little bit. But you're going to see that Tour 11 is a wonderful tour for hook slice shots. I almost wish that, you know, I was in the bunker here or in the rough, because it would have made for an interesting second shot here. Whereas what I'm going to have is more straightforward. So I'll just try to finish this hole up quickly, and maybe we can get another one of the slopey par 3s, I mean, and go for another one from there. So with here, I just got this Tsunami club. Excited about this. And accuracy-wise, it's pretty good. I am going to probably run out of club here. I'm assuming. Oh, no. right towards the max here. I might even go into a little bit more power than that. So I'm playing, you know, kind of one per ring. Sorry, Erwin, I'm not going to be able to play right now. I am streaming. And as you can see, you know, the accuracy on my Tsunami is 1.4 per ring. You probably saw me go almost maybe 15 rings at least. And then on top of that, I still added power because, well, I was going to adjust more rings and then didn't. So that's why you saw me kind of just powered that at the end. Plus, I know I was probably getting close to the end of the club too as well. So I probably only had a couple more rings that I could put on. But even at 1.4 per ring, you know, the distance that I just went, you know, 14 rings, you would assume 15 rings is enough to cover. But when the wind gets up that strong, you always have to go a little bit more. So if you ever see high winds like that, you're going to want to play, you know, at least 2 or 3 extra rings. No matter, that's pretty much universal across the board, no matter what your club is. Doesn't really matter. You're going to just want to go that extra. So here, let's see if we can't get to a playoff hole that also has a hook shot. Hopefully the curvy par 3 around the water would be nice. This could also be a nice one, but it's not going to be, I'm never going to have like a mega hook wind on this hole, unfortunately. I'm just going to go for this bunker shot. Might as well. Come on, Wi-Fi, come back in. Sheesh. Alrighty, come on. Oh, jeez, I'm losing all this time. This is ridiculous. Almost getting the hole-in-one there. So there you're seeing me do kind of about 1 per ring as well on that bunker shot there through the rough, through the bunker up the fairway, I mean. And when you do that, you want to use about 6.5 rings, typically, of topspin if you're going to play that shot. You have to be very precise with your aim. Same thing there. You know, my Apocalypse is also 1.4 per ring. Or no, 1.3 per ring. And you're seeing me there go extra rings because of the same kind of thing. Well, plus this whole play is kind of downhill, so that's something you always have to figure in as well when you're doing your aim. So let's see if I can't grab another hole here real quick for you guys. So I can't really hook this one either, unfortunately. The second shot I can. If I was in the rough up there, I could do that for you guys. This isn't going to be the greatest hook hole either. And again, you know, you're just trying to visualize when you do this. Kind of 15 rings up. And just try to, you know, I try to aim, thread these bunkers here. And just kind of shoot it up. Ooh, man, that was awful. I thought, since that wind was pointed left to right, that I was not going to run out of fairway here. And that is definitely a little mental mistake there. So, you're really too close to hook it though. I'm trying to give you guys some hook shots for this tutorial. And kind of failing miserably a little bit. So let's try this again. Re-up here and just try to hopefully get to the shootout hole with the hook. That would be nice. So I don't have to waste this. I kind of feel like I could hit a hook here, but as you can see, it's kind of unnecessary. I'm kind of under this tree right here. Plus, I'm going to do it with some curl. Just trying to visualize, 5 rings down. And there you just kind of see me winding it around the tree towards the hole. Try to get it half decent for you guys. Once your Nirvana gets up around, well, I think 8 is the upgrade that you really want for that curl. And that curl becomes, as you can see, pretty essential. It kind of gets you out of a lot of trouble when you can do that and just kind of curl it around the tree. I think up until that point you're missing, when it's only at like 30 or 40 curl, you're a little limited with how much you can bend the ball. And that's kind of more or less when, I start thinking about those hook shots. So that's kind of a really important factor that I think about when determining if I want to curl it or not. So again, we're seeing this hole. Let's see what we get for a wind. Kind of dictates the shot that I like to hit. I think last time I did this hole, I missed the bunker. But we're going to go for it here. Of course, you're going to see me take off some of that top spin that you saw me put on last time. And I do believe last time I was downwind like this, I did miss this bunker. So I'm going to try to be extra cautious here. Try is the key word. That's a little lazy. It's not going to be enough. So that's what happens when you don't get your land zone quite right. It doesn't really come out of that bunker good enough. You're going to lose this shootout. So I'm going to try to jump out of this tour, actually, because it doesn't really have the holes that you can kind of guarantee a great It's very wind dependent in this tour. So I'm going to back up a couple tours. Maybe tour 9. Let's try tour 9. So I'm going to go to tour 9 and check that out. See if I can't get a little bit better demonstration in 9. No big deal here. You know, you win some, you lose some out of the bunker. Of course, I should always like take notes on every time I never remember what I did last time, and I don't really, you know, pay attention. I go straight from my memory. So, you know, the last time that I played that hole there, I think I just missed the bunker on the very tip, and it shot through the green. And then this time you saw me land it at least a ring or two too short, so it didn't fully come out of the bunker. Where it's like a good notepad would, you know, really clear things up for you. Be like, oh, I was down 11 miles per hour and went 7 rings. And it was spot on, or whatever. I think that's what I tried. I think this time I did like maybe 9 rings on that wind. It wasn't quite right. I was going to try to grab some live opponents, but it's not looking like... Assuming the trophy difference is just too great. So that's one of the nice things about Tour 11 is you can easily grab an opponent. And, of course, on the way back up, you know, if you stick to the tours relatively close, once you get to around the 2,000 mark or 1,500, you know, you can kind of jump in any tour. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can really jump in any of those and have success matching up. My trophy count's just a little bit low for the bulk of the tours, but Tour 11 I can still match very easily with live opponents. So let's see if I can hit a couple hooks here for you guys. This is actually a perfect hole for us to start talking curls and stuff. You're going to see me go to the other side here. And of course, you know, the wind suggests that it's counterproductive to do it, but I'm going to be able to do it anyway. So first thing I want to mention is, you know, I'm aiming off the right of my bullseye. So I'm going to make sure that the right of my bullseye, you know, plus the wind is going to push it back more towards the bullseye. So I'm kind of going to start my aim here. And then on top of it, I'll go an extra bullseye plus an extra 5 rings. And that's just kind of how I play mine. I play mine off the right of the bullseye. So, you know, I was just estimating that wind, that 6 mile per hour wind kind of playing towards the bullseye there. And actually you're seeing me, you know, really pound this ball down here quite a bit ways. And like I mentioned, if you're an Android user, you can have that app and you'll be able to, they're just, you know, screen rotation apps. That's all you have to look up in the Google Play Store. And you can pick and choose whatever. You know, they all serve the same purpose. They just let you, in-game like this, rotate the screen so you can optimize the curl. So if your club has whatever, 80 curl, 100 curl, doesn't matter what the curl is, you'll be able to fully optimize that. So let's talk about this shot here. So here I am going to actually hit a reverse curl shot for you guys, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. So the first thing that I want to say is I'm going to kind of aim in for the center of this fairway. So first I can tell that that wind is going to be at least 5 rings. Probably like 5 back and 5 sideways at least. So I'm going to kind of use this as my aim point, and then I'm going to go 3.5 bullseyes. Pretty spot on, maybe 3.2 here. And here you're just going to see me, you know, curl it to the right, but then pull back to the left. And you see it's just kind of shooting straight up here. This is a useful tool, that shot there, for you to be able to, you know, just have accuracy. As you can see, it just kind of threads through there. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, especially, you know, you have to play the wind too. But I notice that it's very close to, you know, if you were stacking the bullseyes, it would be 1, 2, 3 of them. And then just a little bit more than that. For a reverse curl like that, you know, I might go an extra, say, 3 or 4 rings. Whereas if I'm doing a normal curl, I'll go an extra 5 rings. So at least, you know, 35 stacked on rings for that. On sniper, hammerhead. So on Guardian, your accuracy is probably a little bit different. If your accuracy is not 100, the club's going to change a little bit. For Guardian, I think I'd go pretty much spot up 3 entire bullseyes. So that's something for you guys to keep in mind too. So here, let's try something similar here, just so we can kind of talk about this reverse curl again. So again, you know, similar wind. So you're going to see me, I'm aiming off the right of my bullseye again, and with kind of the same logic. You know, I'm playing the wind because I'm just estimating that it's going to be about 5 rings for that wind. And then on top of that, you're going to see me go those bullseyes that I was mentioning. Go one more set here. And we're just going to reverse curl it towards the hole. And you could see that it was, you know, relatively on line. So I got the aim down. It was coming in a little bit hot, which means that, you know, the wind at min club really didn't grab that. I might have added a little bit of touch of power as well. But I just want to show you that, you know, the general vicinity, you know, that's going to kind of hold its line. And of course, if you actually use the rotation app for that, it's going to curl even more. It'll, you know, instead of straightening out, it'll actually go more in the, opposite direction in the opposite direction of which way you're shanking, or hitting the, you know, the full lopsided, it'll actually go the same direction that you pull back. And I can kind of show you that shot too. See if I can't just pop this up. Not a real large thought process went into that birdie chip there. No, I really didn't want those trophies. Ah, that's okay. It'll be easy to get rid of. It's a great reason that I use this tour I wasn't even thinking about, but I'm glad that I'm in this tour. Is if I win a game, it's 25. If I lose a game, it's 25. There's nothing up, there's nothing down. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to keep going here. I want to hit some more shots for you guys. I wanted to definitely touch on that reverse curl. So we kind of covered that there. We kind of covered a puck drive as well. You can see the way that I'm doing it, for my estimation, it's like 2 bullseyes plus an extra half. But you'll always see that I'll play the wind first before I even go for it. So no, that's what I'm doing. Even though, you know, I didn't count rings for it there on my drive on that last hole, you can just kind of visually see what I was doing. You know, I anticipated that wind, whatever it was, 6.5, to pull my ball about 5 rings. So, you know, I was just setting the end of my bullseye kind of 5 rings into the rough, kind of. And this will be another good hole for a hook. I usually go for a reverse slice drive on this with a wind like this. It really depends on the wind, but same thing. You're going to see me kind of try to thread this as my target. So you're going to see me put the right of the bullseye on that. And then, of course, you can see it's ever so slightly pointed to the right. So I'm going to account for that too by an extra ring or 2. And on top of that, we are going to go another bullseye, another 4 or 5 rings, and go full reverse curl. And here you just kind of see the ball shooting out towards the opening here. Just caught the rough. So a lot of times to actually take off some of that to kind of get it bending a little bit more, because you see it probably went kind of where I was aiming, but to actually get it to kind of bend around to the right, the thing that you can do is, instead of hitting it full reverse curl like that, but I'm glad I'm in the rough because we're going to be able to do the same shot from the rough. And I wanted to start getting some rough iron shots for you guys, some sand shots for you guys. So this is actually perfect. But I do want to just touch on, for the topic, when I hit a reverse curl like that, I just want to show you this. If, say, I would have brought the ball in like this, then it would have had more right momentum to go in towards the hole. And we're going to try to do something similar here for this shot. We're going to try to land it here. And we'll do the same thing. I do believe the reverse curl here will be at least 2.5 bullseyes. So there's 2 full stacked. I'm going to go at least another 5, 6 rings. And we're going to do the same thing, which is kind of like reverse curl here. And see if I can't shoot this out towards the hole up here. And here you see just a little overcorrection. So why so much of the overcorrection? And it has more to do with being at mid, like more of like a mid distance there, as opposed to max distance. So I do believe you need to come in just ever so slightly, maybe 2 to 4 rings when you're at a smaller distance. Since the ball doesn't get quite as high up in the air, it doesn't really get as affected as much at a half club range. But you can see it just gives you, you know, an alternate way to play it. And that's more important. You know, you wouldn't do that for that shot in any circumstance. I'm more showing you that for when you need to go max power. It's a great shot for you to be able to pull off when you need to go max everything on a rough iron. So that'll be a nice straight way for you to keep the ball. And if you ever need to curl it around other obstacles, so we'll try to do that next on the next hole. I'll drive it into the rough intentionally again. Hopefully we get a par 5, and then I'll just try to max club something out towards the hole. So here we're seeing a very interesting wind. I'm just going to go for this kind of a bit unorthodox. If I was playing this hole seriously, I would probably never go for this shot, but it'll be fun. So that's why I'm going to do it. And you see I'm kind of towards min club here, which means, you know, I'm going to play more towards like 2 per ring on my Apocalypse. But I'm going to go a couple extra rings on top of that. So I'm thinking 9 to 10 here. And in addition, we are going to get some curl going. Well, that great ball's probably not going to help my calls, but maybe it'll still be okay. Yep, it's fine. But it is a little bit left. More left than it would have been. I might have got the hole in one had I not hit that great ball. That would have been pretty cool. So again, that's something that you always really want to be thinking about as well. When you see, especially when you have high winds. You know, you always have to be thinking about how the wind is going to kind of affect the ball. And so you're seeing me go, you know, I went probably 2 extra rings there than I really needed to. I know I went at least 9 rings for certain. And, you know, the shot by number-wise only calls for maybe 7.5. So you see me going just a little bit extra there. And taking down that shootout. Not too bad. So we're going to keep rolling here. Pretty shortly I'm going to switch my bag up. I do want to get to go over just a couple more shots. I've covered a decent amount. I do want to get to the bunker. I do want to get to maybe a max. Well, I can get to rough iron shots later too. I can keep my, well, I do want to at least get to Malibu though. Now Malibu isn't something that I know too terribly well, but I just want to kind of show you that it is going to react very similarly to Spitfire here. So I just kind of wanted to show you that, just so you can get a feel for. And of course, you know, this hook shot is going to have a whole lot more value on Spitfire. So you really don't even need it. Look at this wind. So I'm kind of at a loss as to what to do here, because we're so downwind. I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just blast this ball. I don't think I can make that third fairway. And so what we're probably going to see happen is I'm going to be in between the second and third fairways, which will put me in the rough, which means, and this is a beautiful hole for doing one of these hooks that I've been talking about for my second shot. So this is going to work out excellent. So hopefully, well, I mean, there's almost no hopefully, like this is guaranteed going to not be in the fairway. So just give me a second here. I'm just trying to visualize kind of how I want to do this. I'm probably going to do it with a landscape just so you could see a curl shot too. So let me think about this, how I want to set this up here. I'm going to aim more towards the left of the fairway. There, perfect ball. And what this is going to do is it's going to get a lot of that momentum coming in. Kind of hopefully to pitch it toward, oh, if I would have got that, oh man, if I would have just, I knew I should have went just a couple more rings. If I would have got that second fairway hop, it might have actually got to that third fairway, which would have been pretty awesome. That would have been an epic drive, especially with basic ball. Another thing this video is great for is just kind of showing you the power of what you can do with Apocalypse, especially with some curl, and B, the effects of all that power with basic ball. Because you're seeing, you know, guys have a hard time visualizing that the ball can actually do this. So it gives you a nice visual as to be able to, you know, actually physically see that. So here you're going to see, now I'm not going to do a total reverse curl, but as you can see, look at the arrow that it's kind of, it's going a little too to the left. Like I want it to bend a little bit. So here, especially since it's into the wind, you're going to have to always go less rings. So, you know, I might usually go about 28 rings here, at least. I'm only going to go 25. And I am going to, instead of doing here, since I need it to go right a little bit, you're going to see me straighten out the arrow a little bit, like this. And what this is going to allow the ball to do is it's just going to kind of ride the edge there, and you're actually seeing me keep it in the rough. But you get the general gist of what I was doing there. I was getting very aggressive with the aim and hopefully riding it up that right side. And you see I just overly aggressively did it to the right. So if I would have just ever so slightly pulled my curl into the left there, to do more of like a counter, if I would have pulled back just slightly more left, it would have just rode that fairway right along the edge, and I would have kind of maxed out my distance there. So he's going to get birdie, is that right? So let me intentionally go put it in this bunker, and we'll cover the bunker shot. So now we're going to get to do a bunker shot. And you'll get to see kind of how that works. And again, this is a very great hole for you to actually do this for real, which is kind of really nice. Now, of course, we couldn't have got, all the wins we got were miserable, but you're at least going to get to see, and you can kind of see, you want to land it kind of centered in the fairway here. So we're going to aim for centered, which means, you know, I'm going to set up the right of my bullseye towards the right edge because I'm basically playing the wind. You see, if I put the right of the bullseye on the right there, that's probably enough to account for the wind where the ball will actually land centered. So here you're going to see from this point, I'm going to go 3 bullseyes worth of aim. In addition to that, you're going to see me curl it full back to the right to really get the ball going to the right here. And here you're seeing it's landed more centered, kind of how I was, you know, anticipating it to. And you see I was able to get this down here quite a bit ways. And this just kind of reiterates the point that I was making about how those shots are absolutely great for the Spitfire club. So let me back out here. We're going to change our bag up a little bit because I want to cover more than just this. So let's go to another popular club for you guys. I am terrible with extra mile, but we are going to wing it for you guys. See if I can't. Same thing with Guardian. We're going to switch up to Guardian. I feel like I covered Nirvana pretty well. Like I mentioned, I usually go for around that 28 ring mark for Nirvana. It seems to be relatively spot on, especially at max club, especially when you go into max. So let me switch from this. Let me just switch to Amazon. Here you're seeing my Amazon is at 70 accuracy. And I know most of you guys might not have quite that accuracy, but I do want to put that on my bag. I'm a little unsure as how the Amazon's going to react. So it'll kind of be a nice learning experience for me. And let's just go ahead. We'll put Malibu on real quick, do some shots with that. Go back to Tour 9. And I'll just do a couple shots here for you guys, just so you can kind of get the ins and outs of the hook here. And we'll make sure that, you know, I'm calibrated somewhat successfully. And if I'm wrong on my adjustments, I'll just kind of mention in the video, because this is probably the club that I know the least about. I despise this club for a driver. It is such an overrated club, in my opinion. I'd rather use quarterback. I'd rather use rock. I'd rather use, of course, Thor's and Apocalypse, any of those to extra mile. So don't really play around with this one too much, but we'll give it a go. And I think I kind of remember my numbers. If you want to check out my other video, you know, I feel like I'm pretty spot on in that video. So I don't remember exactly how much I go, but I have a guess. So let's just start this off here. And this is, again, we're starting off very good. So I'm happy about this. So first off, I want to mention that I'm going to play off the left of my bullseye now. And you see the wind's pointed down. And this also plays downhill. So I'm going to make sure off the left of my bullseye I have, you know, at least 3 rings to the left to kind of safely land the ball. In addition to that, I am going to go 2 full bullseyes. I am going to come in about 2 rings from there. I am not going to go max power here, but I am going to notice how I'm curling it as much as possible towards the hook here. And there you see, kind of, I was good with the aim. It was just that I added too much power. So we'll reload here, but you could see that I was landing it very close. Let me see if I can actually grab this pen real quick before this guy actually hits. Nope. I was going to try to actually draw what I was just setting up for there for you guys, just so you can visually kind of see this. So I'll just time out, because this guy's going to take at least 3 shots to get to the hole anyway. So maybe I'll just try to drive it into the bunker for my 3rd shot, and then we'll try to cover bunker as well. And this is actually the perfect wind for me to time out. So I just want to mention, as a starting point, see if I can grab this. You know, I'm using this as my target line right off the so this is what I'm using as my aim for this shot. In addition to that, when you're looking at that last wind, you know, this distance here, like, you know, 2 to 3 rings, I was trying to stay clear, that much clear over in this side as kind of a safety net, because the wind was pointed 6 to the left in that last wind. So, you know, that 3 rings I was kind of staying away from. And then in addition to that, after that, I went and stacked an entire bullseye, and then I pulled in 2 rings from there. So it was kind of like an overall, if I'm using my bullseye, and I went a bullseye, 2 bullseyes, subtract 2, so I went 1.8 bullseyes. There's 10 rings on a bullseye. So, and like I said, that's going to get you pretty spot on. Now, there is going to be some variance, uphill, downhill, stuff like that. This is downhill. So, you know, that 18 is going to be at least 18. Like, it'll be at least 18. Here, I'm just going to do this one with no power. You can see that it's much more downwind. And same thing, so instead of going maybe like 3 rings, I'm going to account for, you know, make sure that's 6 rings. And you can see 6 rings is about here, 6 rings from the edge. So I'm going to set up the left of my bullseye on this target spot. I'm going to stack another set. I'm going to come in ever so slightly. And I am going to hit a curl shot with no additional power here. And notice the way that I'm curling and the way that I'm hitting off the bullseye there is the exact direction. And like I mentioned, I was overspinning that on purpose. I would usually use between 1 and 1.5 bars of topspin on the wind like that. But I used full to get it into the bunker, so we could actually cover Malibu. Now, this is an excellent hole to to have Spitfire in your bag, and even better when you get a wind like this. So coming out of the bunker, 10 towards the hole, if I had Spitfire on, I could almost get this thing on the green. So something to always keep in mind. And I feel like this video is really going to kind of be a game changer to kind of get you in the mindset to be starting to actually consider Spitfire as a club, because I'm just not going to be able to do much with this Malibu here. We're going to try to, but it's going to kind of fail pretty miserably because there's just no topspin on this. So you're going to see me dump this in this bunker up here. I already know it. There's nothing I can do, but let's talk a little bit about the aim. So I know that I'm going to need to go at least at minimum 5 rings. So if you look at the bullseye, so right now I have the right of the bullseye, and then I'm going to move it to the bullseye, and there I just accounted for my wind. On top of that, I'm going to go 3 full bullseyes here. I am going to give it ever so slightly curl to the right, and let's see if I can't. And you're seeing my land zone is perfect. I actually pulled it off. I thought the second bounce was going to be in the bunker, but so imagine if that was Spitfire. Like, I would be 40 yards closer to the green right now. Like, that's huge. It's the difference between probably saving my round and not saving it. And like I mentioned, I go pretty similarly, at least 28 to 30 rings. Probably 30 to be on the safe side. And there you're seeing me lose that match. No problem, no worries. I just wanted to cover that club for you. And then on this hole, we'll try to focus on Amazon a little bit. And again, like I said, Malibu's not really my wheelhouse. I essentially never put that club on. It's just not a smart play. You have to think too much about the shots you want to hit, because for instance, I mean, that's perfect. That hole is a perfect example. You need to make sure that you don't drive it in that bunker, obviously, because although I got it out nicely, it's just not what you're looking for, because then you probably have to hold it from there to potentially tie the match, hopefully tie the match. Hopefully you don't hopefully you're not going to lose if you don't make that third shot. Would be nice. So here we are also going to try to go to the other side. And again, I apologize if I'm a little off on my extra mile ability here. One of the things that I probably am going to do, I'll probably waste a quasar. So one of the things that I'm missing here is curl. Without that curl that you're seeing me put on, the hook itself is going to be rather unsuccessful, to say the least. So let me just do that, just so we can kind of give this our best effort at least. Like I said, with that wind, there's no other way. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to visually, expect at least 2 or 3 rings. So you're going to see me put 2 or 3 rings in the rough on the right. I'm going off the right of my bullseye. Like 2 rings are in the rough. I'm going to stack another bullseye, just like I mentioned. I will come in ever so slightly. I might not even come in 2 full rings this time, because with me leaning so far towards the rough, you don't want to hopefully hit the rough. So you're seeing me, oh wow. So, this just kind of shows you the power of the hook. I didn't expect to be able to get extra, and you can see, I wouldn't have been able to pull that off any other way. Like, it wouldn't have happened. And a katana would be even better if you guys had a katana. Just crank that side spin. And you know, more than anything, it's just kind of a shot for show, kind of. You don't need to hit it there to beat it over to this other side. It does make it a little bit easier, and that's one of the things we are going to do. Now I'm going to intentionally beat this into the rough so we can kind of go over a rough shot, but I just want to get the aim for you guys. How am I switching balls? What? I have no idea what just happened. I hit a quasar off the tee. It's not letting me still use it. I wish I knew why. I have no idea why. So here we're going to just purposely hit it in this rough, but I'm going to do it with some quality aim at least and some backspin. I just want to kind of show you the shot just for fun, just for kind of aiming purposes. We're going to kind of land it as left as possible in this fairway intentionally. So you see I'm kind of playing the wind, and then like I mentioned before, you know, I'll go 3 bullseyes and then full hook, and we're basically trying to land it right on the edge. And you know, had it not gone long, you could see I was over the fairway, so you could see it was relatively spot on. I just had too much power on it. I'll zoom the camera out when it's my turn, so you can actually see that you know, I was coming in, you know, I was aiming for that left edge of the fairway essentially to bring it in the last 2 yards or so. And you know, my aim was very spot on for where I was trying to aim that. And let me just show you that visually. Like, I'll show you where I was in the fairway and show you where this ball came in from. So here I was way back there on this corner. Here, back right on this tip. And as you can see, this ball, when it was curving in, came right from here and then just ever so slightly wound up to the left because it was kind of hooking in from the side. So here you see this is not a good wind for us to actually go for this shot, but I'm going to do this just to kind of get my bearings down. I don't know how much that I need to go for this. I am going to go about 2 bullseyes plus maybe 2 rings, just as kind of an estimation to just, and that actually looks pretty spot on. And you see I almost got to that fairway. That was actually right at the hole. So that might be not the worst estimation for Amazon. Now, of course, you have to take into account that my Amazon right now is very accurate. You guys probably don't have 70 accuracy on your Amazon. You might have 60. I think 60 or 64 was where it was before this on level 5 and 4. And not a lot's going to change. You might come in a couple rings, maybe 2 full bullseyes, maybe. Now there is lower level club that's going to be like 30 accuracy. That's going to be more like you know, at least extra mile. You know, 2 bullseyes and then come in maybe 4 rings. I'm really just estimating for you guys. Trial and error is going to be your guys' best method for trying to determine that. Here you're going to see me just kind of put the, of course I'm not even playing this, I have no idea how much to go here. I don't use this club very much. And we're just kind of winging it here. Winging it here successfully. Oh, geez. So, stole that one. So, now that you've seen the rough iron, and again, you saw that I just did it with a counter curl method. And that was what I just did for that approach shot, was I pulled back to the left and then shanked it to the right. which is basically kind of straightening out the shot. And like I said, you know, the more that you drag it in towards the center, the more it'll still curve to the right more. And of course, when you pull it back to the right and shank it to the right, that's when you see that exaggerated slice to the right. And the only time that I'll pull out full slices would be like on that other bunker par 5 that you saw me. You know, if we would have got the wind, I could have got that on the green from that bunker using that method. So that's kind of one of the beautiful things about this hook shot. So I am going to, since I did get you pretty dialed in on Malibu, I'll just switch back, because I think Spitfire is really where you're going to really take advantage of this. And possibly Amazon too. I'm going to keep Amazon on for the rest of this demo, just so you guys can start to, as you can see, you know, I had barely any ball trail. I still made that pitch. In addition to that, the topspin that you can put out of the rough is just next level. I mean, if you hit it in the rough off the tee, you can still get yourself to the green a lot of the time, which is just excellent. So you saw I hit the Guardian. I feel like Guardian and Sniper are kind of going to be the only. Of course, Cataclysm is a very, very useful club. I will switch to that. Your accuracy probably is an 80. That's the only problem. So going over Cataclysm might not be the best thing. I am going to switch to Thor's hammer because I did pull off extra mile slice for you guys, and you saw the line was pretty perfect. I just drove it into the bunker intentionally. And we're going to go over a couple more drivers here. Thor's hammer real quick. We'll do this for the next hole. Keep Guardian in our bag. And we'll do similarly to what I did last time. Where are we at time-wise? Oh yeah, I forgot. I can't figure that out. Forgot about that. So this new app that I'm using, I believe the sound quality is a lot better, but I can't tell what the time is. That's the only disadvantage to this app. So I'm not sure how long I've been streaming for here. But we're going to do at least a minimal 3 more holes for you guys, no matter what that time frame is, because there's still a lot I want to cover. I want to go over quarterback. I want to go over topper again. Just make sure all that's in the video. Plus, of course, Thor's hammer. Now, Thor's hammer, this is one of the holes that I know the best. And of course, we're getting this. This is not good for a Thor's hammer hook shot, but we can do a counter hook shot. You know, that counter curl method, where we pull back. Now, what I like to do, so it rides the wind more, is I'll usually pull back. You know, I'll hit my hook in the same direction that the wind's pointed. So you'll see me still, I like to do this so it rides the wind more instead of counters the wind, because if you bring the ball in right to left, it's going to be countering this wind. But if you pull back left to right, then you're going to be riding the wind a little bit more. And here you're not going to see me. I might even use some backspin. No, let me just dump it in the bunker or rough. I'll just intentionally put it down there. And like I said, you know, this is going to be my target line. So, you know, I'm going to try to land it pretty centered here. You can see with that wind, it's 6 miles per hour. So, you know, I'm going to aim more here, you know, account for at least 3 rings. So I'm going to put the right of my bullseye right on that target line that I was just mentioning. I will stack an extra bullseye, and that's all there is to Thor's hammer. So that's one of the reasons that I love this club so much. It's so easy to play that hook shot. I can dial it up in like 2 seconds. Because it's just a bullseye stacked on top of a bullseye. Now, I was trying to roll it into this rough. It's disappointing that I didn't make it. I was trying to roll it in the rough to where it didn't roll into the bunker. So you see my dilemma there as kind of how I ended up in between. But that's okay. I'm trying to think. So I'd really like to dump it in this bunker here, but I also want to show you guys the curl at the same time. I'll probably do the same thing where I'll pitch it out into the bunker again. And hopefully we'll get a better wind this time when I do that. And you'll be able to see, you know, almost any wind except for what they gave me last time I did that bunker shot, I could get on the green. And that's one of the best things about being able to pull off this shot. And that's what this tutorial is all about. So here you're going to see me. I'm going to get very aggressive. I do want to show you this curl shot. Now, of course, it's always a lot better when you have sniper, of course, because you're going to have way more topspin. But let's just see if we can go over this. And you can see I'm going to try to land it more like up in here. So I'm going to play about 10 rings from that spot. I'm just trying to visualize, you know, an entire bullseye. So I'm making sure that I'm to the left, an entire bullseye of where it's going to land. In addition to that, oh geez. In addition to that, I am going to go 1, 2 bullseyes, and then go into landscape, hit a full slice, and I'm assuming it's going to land very aggressively, and you're seeing it is, and you're seeing it's also shooting way up here. So just imagine with sniper how much farther I could have even got it than that, because it would have had an extra 30 yards roll. So again, for Guardian, it's about 3 entire bullseyes worth of play, which is equivalent, if you're going to do ring method, to 25 rings. So since I'm starting on the right of the bullseye for my target line, that means I'm going 5 more rings than actual, like if I was using the target. So you'll see, you know, 25 rings or 3 bullseyes is an equivalent ring method for that shot. And here you're going to see me dump it into this bunker. And now that wind would have been absolutely perfect. So hopefully on the next shot, we get that same kind of luck and they at least don't put it straight in my face again. Or if they do, well, I don't think this guy's going to miss this putt. I was about to say, well, maybe he'll par, but I don't think that's going to happen. Because if he was going to par, I'd just wait in the bunker. But hopefully they don't give me the most brutal wind of all time again. Oh boy. That is way too much. Okay, so we don't even need this. So you're not even going to see me top spinning this. You're going to see me back spinning it. You know, it's way better to go at this with full ball. It makes it a lot easier. So you're going to see me just kind of put the screws on this thing. And, you know, same kind of technique as before. You know, I'm just trying to visualize. And, you know, I'm playing at least a bullseye for the win. So visualize from the right of that bullseye, I'm playing an extra bullseye on top of that for my land zone. And then, of course, you know, I'm going to go 3 bullseyes worth of aim. I do about 30 rings. And there you're seeing it lands very centered. It's coming around. It's past the hole. Still too much. So, you know, if I was going to hit this, like, for seriously, I would have probably, you know, taken off a little bit. Like, I had a feeling it was going to come in hot, but I know at the same time that if I get it up on that hill to the left there, it actually feeds down to the hole. But there you're seeing me just cut it past the hole. So you're seeing the effects of what you can do with this hook. And that's just a monument. Like, I could have, just think about this. I could have probably got that an extra 100 yards with full topspin. So just visualize a situation or scenario where you need to just go max out and you get a downwind like that. That club will save you time and time again. So Again, I covered Thor's hammer. Of course, I only did one shot there, but you know, it's pretty much spot on. Two full bullseyes, play the wind. Always keep in mind uphill, downhill, because it'll make you have to cheat in 1 or 2 rings. Same with wind direction. If you're countering the wind, it's going to not come back as much. So maybe go a ring or 2 less. Versus the opposite, if you're riding the wind, it's probably going to land at least an extra ring or 2 more. So keep that in mind. For instance, like on my Apocalypse, when I'm downwind on the Apocalypse, so I usually play, like I mentioned, 25, it's like 2.5 bullseyes, which is equivalent to 20 rings, like I mentioned, because since I'm using the right of my target or left of my target, that's the discrepancy. Whereas the bullseye, if you're starting your aim on the bullseye, you're starting at 5 rings differently than I am. So Apocalypse is approximately 20 rings or 2.5 bullseyes. If it's way downwind, for example, then I'll add 5 rings. If it's extremely downwind and I'm using a globe or something, even more so. I might go an extra 10 rings on top of that. So there's times, like I mentioned, especially if that wind's like just super stellar, like 15, 20 miles per hour straight downwind, I might go, you know, 4 entire bullseyes worth of aim, because you have to visualize this. So wherever the target line is, the ball is flying that much farther than the target line. So that's why you need to account for those extra rings, especially when you do it with the curl. Now, if you're not going to do it with the curl, you don't have to factor in that much. But when you're doing that, especially landscape mode, that really accentuates it. The difference between landscape curl and just kind of side curl would be about you know, at least maybe 5 extra rings that you might have to play. And vice versa, if you're into the wind, the opposite's going to happen. You need to go less rings because it's not going to make it back to that target line, which means it's going to come in left or right of wherever you were setting up to hit it, because it's not making it to that bullseye. So all things to consider. We are going to throw quarterback on now. We are going to switch back to the sniper for you guys. I feel, so I've done Guardian pretty well. I've done a counter curl, and I've done a curl, I believe. And the difference between the counter curl and curl is really nothing, other than the angle that the ball projects after it lands. So when you do the counter curl method, it virtually goes straight if you do it on the phone. Now, it might shoot up at like a 5-degree angle in the direction that you sliced it. So if you were pulling back to the left and were shanking the ball to the right, to the full edge, then the ball might project at like a 5-degree angle to the right after it lands. Like that extra momentum of the slice kind of carries over. Which if you do that in landscape mode, it actually reverses it. So if you needed that ball to land more left after it, you could do it in landscape mode for certain clubs. Oh, what a terrible, terrible wind. I wanted to give you guys a hook on this hole. Maybe I'll still set up to do it. We'll do counter curl method. I will put this intentionally in the rough. And do I have Amazon on? I think I still have Amazon on. So we're going to intentionally put this in the rough. And if we get downwind, that's just going to make my day, because I really wanted to show you this. I might even just wait. I might give it 2 chances, because I would just love to see downwind, just so I can just kind of show you the beauty of this. Now, I am going to throw on a little bit of wind resistance. I want to make sure I make it to the rough. I'm a little worried about making it to the rough. So again, I'm going to aim more centered in the fairway, but as you can see, the wind's left to right. So I'm going to, you know, kind of set up the right of my target line here because the wind's going to pull it back to the center. So I'm setting up the right kind of where I just mentioned. On top of that, for quarterback, I go very much spot on 30 rings, maybe 29. And here I'm just going to use a counter curl method with just a little bit more. You saw me just take off ever so slightly. What this is going to do is it's going to kind of get the ball straightening out here and kind of project it over to the right. And here you're seeing it come into the rough. This is exactly where we want it. One time, get me downwind, because I just got to show you this club. It's not the best, not the worst. I'm not quite going to be as downwind as I want, but let's see where I set up at. I wanted to really be able to rip this ball down here so you could just kind of see the dramatic effects of, especially not only the hook, but Amazon as well, because this is one of the most underappreciated clubs that just nobody talks about. Here you're seeing me just be able to get it to the fairway, and there's no downwind either. Why don't I'm going to set up over here intentionally, if I can. I'm going to put this in a little bit better distance here. Get in the rough. Oh, no! How many strokes is this guy going to get? 4? All right, that's fine. As long as he misses this, we're good. Because I'm going to have to chip it onto the rough now. But I just want to show you this. And I moved the ball up just in case I get bad luck again. Oh, jeez. Come on, Wi-Fi. Can you start cooperating, please? What is the issue? Seriously. Jesus. Jeez, I'm starting to regret dropping to 4G. This is crazy. This is crazy. I can't believe. Alright, so now you're going to see me. This is only my 3rd shot. He's taken 3 shots, so we should be good. Sucks that I have to do this. But hopefully I get the wind. And the only reason I moved it up here is so just in case, you know, they give me really terrible wind, I can still hit this hook shot on this hole. But even better, I'm getting straight downwind. You're going to see me get very aggressive here. Now, I'm just trying to visualize, you know, I know it's going to land more up here towards the tip of my bullseye here. So I'm just trying to get a nice feel for that. In addition to that, I'm going to throw some topspin. I don't want to get too carried away. But what did I do last time? Maybe 2.2 bullseyes? So for starters, you know, I'm going to play off the left of my bullseye, plus I'm going to go additional because of the wind. So that'll just give me a rough idea. In addition to that, you know, I'm going to go those 2.5 bullseyes that I mentioned. I'm going to pull it back. Of course, full hook it, full curl. Get it going towards the hole. And let's see if we can't jump up. Oh! So just ever so slightly. You're just seeing. So that was so close. I just needed just a touch more topspin there. And if it would have caught the rough there, it would have hopped right up onto the green. And you would have had yourself a putt from a very unlikely position, to say the least. And it's all about just kind of getting a feel and estimating how much topspin you think you need. I think, for the most part, it was pretty good. My hook was probably just a little too extreme. Had I actually taken off, or for example, pulled straight back instead of keeping it curled to the left, it looks like it didn't need all that extra left, which I didn't know because I don't purposely hit it there. So I was just trying to guess. But had I pulled straight back and got a mulligan on that shot, I have a feeling that we might have been putting there. So just something to keep in mind. And we also got to do quarterback for that drive. I will go over quarterback one more time because we didn't actually get to do a hook shot. So let's go to the next hole. I'll keep quarterback on here, and then we will finish with topper and call this thing a day. Nope, hold on, let me re-back up here. Wait for this to connect. Get back on Wi-Fi here. So hopefully here in a minute we'll get a match up real quick and I'll be able to hit a hook shot. I really hope that it sets up for a hook shot so I can pull out quarterback and not have to do a counter curl, even though you can see that it's, it's pretty spot on to, I usually go like 28, 29 rings, somewhere in there. It's pretty spot on for QB. Certain holes when they're downwind, like I mentioned, it's 30. So downhill, keep that in mind. And we are going to technically be able to do a curl shot here, so I will do that for you guys. It doesn't really have a lot of value, and of course, why did I even turn this back on? This is crazy. This is crazy. I cannot believe that this is dropping out this bad right now. So I'm just going to finish this on 4G for you guys. And get it uploaded shortly after. So hopefully you guys can use this video for a good hook shot guide. There's not... I would have loved to have got some more perfect wins, but we'll go with what we have. We'll be fine. Now I do like landing over here, and so here, there's no real way to hit a curl shot here, but I'm going to do it anyway, and we're just going to plop it in this bunker, and then we'll do the second shot from the bunker. I just want to kind of go over the effects of this, so... I'm going to try to hit this pretty centered, which means I'm going to aim out to the left because you see the wind is 10 to the left. So you're going to see me intentionally aim out to the left about 5 rings. In addition to that, we're going to go those 30 rings that I mentioned going. And I'm going to run out of time because I'm just taking my sweet old time. Hopefully on the second shot, this is going to be perfect because now we're actually going to have the wind. We're not going to dump it in the bunker intentionally. I still do kind of want to be in the bunker, though. But I'd really rather show you quarterback here than wind up in the bunker. So we'll just go for this and get very aggressive with our aim. So you can kind of see me hop the bunker and kind of put it in a nice spot. Not saying that you would, go for that on this shot, but I just want to kind of just put it in your arsenal so you know how quarterback works. And, you know, you really get the effects of the curl with this club, which is a nice thing. So doing it in landscape mode is going to give you quite a bit more curl. And now you're going to see me land, you know, I'm going to set up to aim right in here. So you're going to see me use the right of my bullseye right now to just kind of visualize that target. A full bullseye's over. And this is going to be my setup. In addition to that, I'm going to go those 30 rings I told you. Make sure that I'm very generous with that because I see the trouble on the right. And here you're seeing it, very aggressive kind of line. And you're seeing it just shoot down here towards the green in the perfect path that I wanted it to go. So, and you could see from the landscape mode, like when it was actually curling, the QB has quite a bit of curl. So you see it come in very left to right. It's just a great club all around. If you can put yourself on enough curl holes like this, you can just rip the ball super far with this club. You can get out as far as guys with, you know, Thor's hammer, even though the distance is less. So just something for you guys to keep in mind. And here, there's no real benefit to a curl shot. I'm just going to kind of size this up, see how far I am. And no real idea what I'm going to play per ring here. I know I'm not going to go a full ring. So you'll see me put the second bounce behind the hole. And aside from that, that's 3/4 of a ring maybe. Great ball's going to take me out of this one. It's not even going to give it a chance. It's going to miss. So the bullseye there is so big that if you're not dead on the money, that there's just going to be too much error that you're not going to be able to recover from. So now we are going to go to Big Topper real quick. This is another club with quite a bit of hook curl to it, which means you can really take advantage of that club. And sniper, good. We're good. I'll just keep my bag like this. We will go into tour 9 again. And I can end this tutorial with Big Topper. There shouldn't be too much to talk about here. Like I mentioned, I have another hook curl video out there. You probably do want to check out. It has some really nice basic intro. It really walks you through it a little bit better. I just wanted to put this one out here as just kind of an updated guide for you because I feel that I had the calculations a lot more dialed in since making my last video, because I've really been messing around with this quite considerably. Not to the extent that I'm doing it with you know, all these other clubs, Extra Mile, or so these are just kind of bonus that I remember Extra Mile, and so you know, I'm gonna have to guess for you guys on this. I'm really glad that we did get this. This is a perfect hole to try to go with the mile here, or the topper. I really just wish that I knew how much to aim. So first thing, you know, I'm going to be going off the left of my bullseye, so you're going to see me set up on that left side here. In fact, there's so little distance that I'm going to, you know, I'm probably not getting over the water, but I'm going to use like 3 rings into the rough here. So you see my landing zone, about 3 rings. I know we're going to come in here, and then I believe I came in maybe at least 3 or 4 rings, so I'm going to come in 3 this time and just see if this is kind of in the ballpark of what we need. So I came in, you know, it was 2 full bullseyes. That's pretty spot on. I like that. And as you can see, there's just not quite enough distance on topper. I'm going to need the wind. So, you know, I'll reload. I'll try again. And you can actually see when I go into landscape mode, it's actually too much curl. So next time I'm not going to do landscape mode as well. Hopefully the wind is not terribly bad. If it's any worse than this, you know, it's going to be water ball. There's almost no exception. I could throw on a Kingmaker for you guys maybe to try to keep it out of trouble. But this isn't really a wind where you can go for this. I'm just kind of showing you the ropes of the actual shot so you can do it for yourself when the time is right. Even though, like I said, you know, ring-wise, it's going to be similar. Oh, so look at that. That is crazy. So now you're going to set up more in here because you see you can land it more in here. Of course, I'm not going to need all that topspin. And here you're going to see me do more of a foam curl. So I'm not even going to go into landscape. And, you know, I'm just trying to visualize. You know, I know the ball. You know, I'm going to set up more in here because I see that the wind's going to push it up to here. So you're going to see me set up here. And I'm going to follow kind of the same guideline that I just did, which was 2 bullseyes. I'll come in 3 rings because I know I can miss to the right a little bit. I can't miss to the left, so I'm going to be a little cautious. And as you see, it's still not even. So this has more to do with what I was just mentioning about, man, I wish I would have even thought about that. So I think what I just did was probably pretty spot on. Here's the problem with what I just did. Remember how I was talking about downwind, into the wind, all that? I forgot to go extra rings because A, I'm not used to playing this club, so it just wasn't on my, I was more concentrated on just hitting the right number for you guys as opposed to actually making my adjustment. Because like I mentioned, you know, with Apocalypse, if I'm ever that downwind and I'm going for a curl shot like that, I told you how I go 2.5 bullseyes. I would go at minimum 3 bullseyes for that wind. Minimum. Maybe even 3.2. So the fact that I didn't factor that in is a big reason. And again, with this wind, you're probably not going to see me get over, but I'll give you guys my best go at it. So, you know, this is going to play more spot on to what I just mentioned. So again, you're going to see me about 3, you know, that's my landing zone down there. And I'm going to set up about 3 rings in the fairway because I know that that wind's going to push it back. So that's just me playing the wind. On top of that, 2 bullseyes. I'll come in, like I mentioned, 3 rings from there. And we will give this, oh, nope, I don't want to go landscape, I forgot. So we're just going to use foam curl here because I know I over curled the last one. And here you're seeing it. Do you see how it landed? It was super aggressive. So that just goes to show you that it's pretty spot on there. It landed right on the edge, right what I was trying to do, which was get very aggressive so I could potentially get it to the other side. But as you're seeing, well, one of the biggest problems with topper, as you're seeing, especially with basic ball, it doesn't have the power. It doesn't have the land zone to get over the water. So you're seeing me really struggle with that. I could have did it on the second shot, of course, but I would have had to have been thinking about all those factors that I mentioned. So why don't we just try to grab one more hole? That wasn't the best demonstration I could have gave you guys for topper. And I do think that this club needs to be kind of in your wheelhouse. If we get set up with a more of a straight hole, I'm just going to show you more of a reverse curl. Even me, so last tournament, the anniversary one, I hit, you guys remember that cliff hole with the island fairway? I used Big Topper on my guest account because I didn't have a good enough Apocalypse. And Big Topper goes farther than Apocalypse. So I'm not land wise, but the fact that it has 100 topspin, 90 some topspin is enough to make it go farther. So just one of those neat facts. And that's one of the reasons that you'll see me. And so here, we are going to try to do more of that reverse curl shot. And again, you know, I'm kind of visualizing the wind. First off, I want to land it more in here. But I'm going to play it more off the top of my bullseye up here because I can see that that's the way that the wind is pointed. So here I'm going to set up, before I even start, more towards the left side, right in the rough. And I can just see that the wind's going to pull it back. Now, in addition to that, I'm going to play the 2 bullseyes, come in right around 2 to 3 rings, somewhere in there. Now I'm going to do this reverse curl, but notice how this time I'm going to take off some of that and just ever so slightly come back in. And what that's going to allow me to do is just have, hopefully, well, this is going to be too much. So now you're seeing it just miss on the others, but you can see what I'm trying to do there. Is I'm trying to thread it through there to where it doesn't hit that left rough now. And now you just saw me just clip, so I came in just too much there. And it probably has more to do with how left to right that wind actually is. So it kind of helped the ball over to the right a little bit more. So I probably shouldn't have used so much counter curl, but you just see what the effects do. And like I mentioned, with Big Topper, you can just, with all that topspin, so imagine that hitting the fairway, I would have ran at least like all the way up through and almost gone through the fairway. Like that's how long you can hit it with Big Topper. So especially if you can get holes downwind. So this is a great tournament club, and using that reverse curl method like you just saw makes you be able to hit it accurate. So I think my accuracy is something low. It's real low, like 24. It has the worst accuracy of all time. And yet you can see me still pull off some shots with it. Here I am going to go for a rough shot. So I'm going to pitch it back to the rough here. We're going to pull out one more Amazon for you guys and end the tutorial after that. But just something to keep in mind, you know, that reverse curl is very useful for accuracy. You know, Big Topper, if you need to go full ball, it is extremely risky. You need to keep it within 2-3 rings or else you're missing by 10 yards of your aim. So that's quite considerable. When you do that reverse curl, and if you get your timing down to where you always hit the edge, you're going to be within 2-3 yards of your mark every time. So just something to keep in mind. It will really help you out in a bind. And like I said, it is super long. So if you set yourself up on the right tour, you can just smash the ball with that. And here you're going to see, I am going to pull off an Amazon. Unfortunately, it's not at Max Club. I was really hoping it would be. We are going to do this with some backspin here. And I'm just trying to visualize. So, you know, in terms of like a bullseye, I'm trying to land it kind of right in here. So you're going to see me set up the left bullseye just to the, right into the short of that, because I know that the wind's going to take it. And, you know, I've been going a little bit more than 2 rings. Here you're going to see me probably play more 2 spot up because, like I mentioned about last time, is it's not a full club here. So when you're not at full club, it's better to take off a little bit. And there you're just seeing, more than anything, that was just a pat. Like you saw, my aim was very virtually spot on. It was kind of where I was circling that I was trying to land it. It was just a little bit long because, you know, for whatever reason, I might not have took off quite enough power. Might be part of the reason. And the other part being that I might not have played enough wind. So those 2 factors contributing to one another led my ball to come in pretty long, but the aim was virtually spot on. So just something for you to keep in mind. You know, the problem with using Amazon as a club is, you have to really be mindful. You know, you want to make sure you're using an accurate driver if you are going to pull out Amazon and actually consider using it. And know when to take risks, because once you get into a certain distance, you know your virtual chance of getting a hole-in-one is going to be minimal. So if you're around the green, that's fine. You can just go for dunk shots. If you're like super close, just try to dunk everything. Of course, you know, you hit a great ball, it's not going in. Same thing with Nirvana. If you aim right and great ball Nirvana or whatever, it's chances are 99% of the time it's not going in anyway, so why not? But aside from that, you know, that 50-yard range where you can sometimes get a Nirvana to go in with Amazon, it essentially takes you till null getting it to go in. Now, I did get one to fall in kind of that 40-yard range, and it was just kind of, so what I do to, like, if I want to cheat the ball guide a little bit, I'll just play it, you know, I think you saw me maybe do 4 to 5 backspin there. And what that does is everything that you can see on the trail is virtually everything it's going to do anyway. So if you can just predict where that second bounce is, it just needs to be right in front of the hole. And then the third and fourth hops will just barely, and that's actually how you saw me make it. So if you do want to go back and actually think about putting it in the bag, that shot would be a great one to look over as to how I played the spin, and just my logic with that shot is very close to what I was just mentioning to you. You know, I use more 4 or 5 backspins somewhere in there, and then just try to predict that second hop. And like I said, as long as it's right in front of the hole, you know the third and 4 are just going to scoot ever so slightly in front of that, and you can still get stuff to fall. So just something to consider. But like I said, you know, accuracy-wise, it is a bit of a bear, but I could see some real value in that club. Like, it could get me out of some severe trouble in Tour 11 for sure. I've been so tempted to put it in, but I know if I'm anywhere in the rough, which it's very hard to avoid in Tour 11, that you're kind of limiting your chance to be able to actually put it in for eagle or birdie, wherever. So, but yeah, hopefully you guys find this guide helpful. Glad that I could put out a second part for you. And like I said, you know, I feel like I was honing in on the numbers a little bit better. So I just wanted to give you kind of an updated spot-on guide. But I still do recommend you guys going back to that other video, especially if you haven't seen this one ever before, or the other one ever before. There's a little bit more basic information in that one. This one's a little bit more advanced and more of kind of a secondary guide for you to actually use once you start to get the hang of it. Whereas I talk a little bit more about the theory a little bit and kind of the way the ball projects a little bit better in the other video. And I just wanted to kind of skip that here so I could focus more on quality and actually more quantity of shots as well. So hopefully you found this one useful. If you did, feel free to definitely, you know, share it with your friends or whoever, and also give it a thumbs up as well. So people understand, you know, that the content here is good and it's worth a view. But additionally to that, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the video. I'll do the best that I can to answer them. And if you guys have not subscribed to my channel yet, feel free to do that as well. So good luck out there and happy clashing. Hopefully you guys can use this video, and I'll be seeing you guys out there. Take care.